us move to the concept of decentralization. What is this decentralization? Decentralization refers to delegation of authority throughout all the levels of organization. So here not only one part of the organization, but all the part of the organization or throughout the organization we are going for delegation. Okay, so decision making authority is shared with lower levels of management. Here what happens, the lower level management, they are getting opportunity to make decisions, so that power is being delegated to them. In other words, decision making authority is pushed down to the chain of command. As you know that there are 3 levels of management: top level, middle level and bottom level. So most of the time or most often the decisions are taken up by the top level management. But in case of decentralization, what happens, that power of decision making is given to the lower level of management. So we can say that the decision making authority is pushed down the chain of command. Decentralization explains the manner in which decision making responsibility are divided among the hierarchical levels. So decision making responsibilities divided among the lower levels of management of a hierarchical levels, divided among the hierarchical levels. Here is the definition of decentralization. Decentralization refers to systematic effort to delegate to the lowest level all authority except that which can be exercised at central point. So only the exception is that the main key point which have to be compulsorily taken up by the central point, that decision will only be taken by the higher authority. Rest of all the powers to take decision is granted to the lowest level of management. This definition is given by Lewis Allen. And one more definition is that everything which goes to increase the importance of a subordinate's role is decentralization. Everything that goes to reduce it is called centralization. So if we are giving the power to subordinates and increasing their role, it is known as decentralization. And if we are not doing that and all the decision making power is rest with one person, that is known as centralization. This definition is given by Henry Fayol. Now here are 5 points of importance of decentralization. The first point is relief to top management. Second point is develops initiative among subordinates. Third point is develops managerial talents for the future. And fourth point is facilitates growth. Fifth point is quick decision making. Let us go in brief with this point. The first point is relief to the top management. Decentralization gives relief to the top management because they have more important to concentrate on important policy decisions. For example, develop new strategy, coordination and control. So strategy making, coordination and control is rest with the top management, and the routine work or the other decision policy, not so important work will be distributed to the subordinates throughout the hierarchical levels. So it is like relief to the top level management because they don't have to go with a routine work and they can concentrate on the developing a new strategies and coordination and control of the organization. The next point of importance of decentralization is develops initiative among subordinates. It develops initiative among subordinates by promoting self-reliance and confidence in them. In case of delegation also we saw this point. So decentralization also, through decentralization also we are giving more opportunity to many subordinates to take up initiative and promote self-reliance and confidence in them. This is because when lower managerial levels are given freedom to take their own decisions, they learn to depend on their own judgment. Now develops managerial talents for the future. So decentralization gives subordinates a chance to prove their abilities and create a reservoir of qualified manpower to fill up more challenging positions in future through promotions. Thus, it develops managerial talent for the future. So as we are giving them chance to make decisions in the organization, so actually we are creating an ability in them so that in future whenever they are promoted and whenever they encounter a challenging job, it will be an experience for them. So we are actually creating a managerial talent for the future. Next point is facilitates growth. It facilitates growth by fostering competition among the departments, leading to increase in productivity. Consequently, the organization is able to generate more profit, which can be used for growth and expansion purpose. We know that a more able person will be given the position. So, as the management, it will create a competition among the departments to get the power of delegation. So, it will automatically increase the profit of the organization, thereby growth and expansion of the organization. Next point is quick decision making. In a decentralized organization, since there is no requirement for approval from the many levels, the process of decision making is very fast, because it is through lower level of management team itself making the decision, so that they don't have to consult with many levels. So quick decision making can be possible if decentralization is followed. There are also less chance of information getting distorted, because it does not have to go through long channels. So it don't have the channels of communication, that is we have seen the scalar chain. So that scalar chain completely we don't have to follow, and thus information will not be will be reached to the other person in the right sense and in a meaningful way, with a in a fast and quick manner, so that decision can be taken and in an appropriate time. Now let us discuss the difference between delegation and decentralization. The first point is nature. Delegation is a compulsory act because no individual can perform all tasks on his own. So we know that a manager cannot perform all the tasks assigned to him by his own. So he had to compulsorily delegate some of his work to his subordinates. But decentralization, it's an optional policy decision of an organization, and it depends on the top management to decide whether they have to go with centralization or decentralization. So it's an optional policy. Now, significance of purpose. The main purpose of delegation is to reduce the burden of the manager. And decentralization, the main purpose is to increase the role of subordinates in the organization by giving them more power or autonomy. Then the scope and parties involved. It has a narrow scope as it is limited to superior and his or her immediate subordinate. So, if we are talking about the manager of marketing department, so the marketing department manager and his immediate subordinates, only that much is the limit of the delegation. So it's a very narrow scope. But decentralization is a wide scope as it implies extension of delegation to the lowest level of management. So almost all the lowest level of management are participating in the decentralization process, where we delegate the power of decision making to the lowest level of management. Freedom of action. More control by superiors, hence less freedom to take own decisions. Here the manager has all the control of his subordinates. So they are not allowed to make the decisions. They are not free to take their own decisions. They are under the control of the superior. Okay. But in case of decentralization, less control over executives, hence greater freedom of action. So here lower level of management, they have the freedom of making decisions. So less control by the their superiors. Then status, it is a process followed to share tasks. So here we are sharing the task or duties. And in case of decentralization, it is the result of policy decision of the top management. So the top management is deciding that our organization will be a decentralization one. So they will be going on that way. Then withdrawal of authority. Authority delegated to a subordinate can be taken back and redelegated to another person. So if manager wants to delegate a power, he can do that. He can take back that delegated power from that person also and redelegate it to another person. In a decentralized organization, decision-making authority is pushed down to the chain of command. There cannot be withdrawal of authority. So in decentralized organization, decision making authority is given to the lower level management, and it cannot be withdrawn by the authorities. Then levels of authority. The maximum authority is retained at top level management. So maximum authorities rest with the top management itself. And in case of decentralization, the authority is systematically divided at every level of management. So it's divided among the levels of management. So children, now we are about to end today's session. Today's class we have discussed what is delegation and 6 points of importance of delegation, and we saw what is decentralization and its 5 points of importance of decentralization. We also saw the difference between delegation and decentralization. So let us wind up today's class. Don't forget to read the textbook and mark the important points, and attend the test paper. Carefully read the question and write down the answers. So meet you in the next class with a new topic. Till then, goodbye. Take care.